Welcome back to another episode of APositive Insights. And I'm actually in the UK today, which is exciting, and joined by Tom from Frame 25. Hey, Tom.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm very good, very good. Just getting over the jet lag,
I
but it's good
bet.
to be here.
Yeah, it's a long stint. Did you do it in one?
Yeah, went through to Singapore and then straight through to London, and then been at the Excel at the Recruitment Agency Expo
Yeah, yeah,
the last 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks, 2 days.
yeah,
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but exhausting.
yeah, yeah.
But great to see you, and obviously thanks for joining us.
No worries.
So a good place to start would be tell us a little bit about Tom and Frame
Sure.
25.
So I'm Tom Pammenter. I started, my background is in TV, broadcast, the sort of behind camera stuff, high volume kind of freelance world. Um, Not the particularly creative side of TV, but still very important. Um, and basically, I was working for a service provider in that space. I did a fair bit of travel, lived in Australia, met my wife in Australia and things, and then decided to, I came back and was kind of forced into being a freelancer essentially. And there was more work than there was me in at my main client. So I decided to build a freelancing agency off the back of it. And that sort of moved into more recruitment and basically managing high volume freelancers for a number of different broadcasters across the UK, and then that has sort of developed further into people that we were initially supplying or ex-colleagues moved into more technical roles, more creative roles, and then our reach has sort of grown from there really. Um, and the other sort of story really is probably about 6 years ago we started to build a platform to manage freelancers, um, and we've been deploying that to different companies that different customers that basically want an easier way of managing freelancers, and freelancers want an easier way to effectively sort of transact.
Yeah,
And that's what we've built, and that's what we're known for
yeah,
really.
amazing. I'll definitely go a little bit deeper on that later. So obviously the broadcast media talent space is really unique,
Yeah,
and obviously you've been on the other side of the fence,
yeah.
which I actually didn't know. So obviously good to know. But why did you pick that? I suppose like explain the benefit of being a specialist in that space and how's that helped you grow the business.
I think it's you know what the headaches are, that the market, the jobs, well, because you've got direct experience of it. You know your customers as a result, um, far more, and basically you can just respond to their needs far quicker,
Hmm.
and rather than a sort of generalist approach ultimately.
Yeah, I think it's really important because a lot of agencies, especially when they're set up, they try and be generalists.
Mm.
And the benefit of being like really niche and specialist, like obviously A Positive, we focus on the recruitment market. It's a really small niche,
Yeah,
but you can go really deep.
yeah,
And I suppose, yeah, like I said, we will talk about the platform, but that's obviously enabled you to build that as well
yeah.
and really understand the needs and solutions that are needed. Um, was there a particular moment where you felt like you gained traction in the business?
Yeah, so I guess on the recruitment front, in terms of like providing decent freelancers,
Mm,
I mean, it came very quickly because essentially I was tasked with building our main customer. Essentially, was my ex-employer. They won a deal to take on ESPN. I don't know if you remember this, but years ago with the football rights, Satanta basically went under. ESPN came in for a few seasons, and the company I was freelancing at basically won the contract to do that with ESPN. Suddenly they needed more freelance because the world sort of moved into, well, actually it's all sports related, or my world did. And so we needed to train up more people. They weren't going to staff it permanently. It was, we need people for set times, set matches, etc. And so basically we very quickly I realized, actually, if I build a freelancing agency, it's far more suited to exactly what the customer needed fundamentally. And that's when I knew I was starting to get traction, be able to train up people, get decent people in, understand exactly what was required, and then build a business around that type of service, because more and more customers broadcasters, content owners are moving to, certainly back then and now,
mm,
moving to more of a freelancer model. And it's just grown off the back of that. So I would say, yeah, gaining traction with the agency of just being able to give people, trusted talent, understanding exactly what is required of the job, not just throwing CVs at stuff and hoping stuff will stick. And then probably traction on the software side when we rolled it out to other customers, and they've been using it ever since. Um, yeah, I think it's just the unique approach of coming from the shop floor and kind of building something for the shop floor rather than the other way around, has sort of held us in good stead and got us traction.
Yeah, sure. So what sort of lessons have you learned along the journey?
Um, I guess in terms of, in terms of like an agency mindset, I would say there are lots of things you need to be mindful of running a, it's y- people would say, oh, originally I didn't want to go and build software.
Mm,
I thought, no, we'll be just supplying people, but very quickly worked out we will trip over ourselves here, and this is a bit of a nightmare for everyone involved. End client has to ring up, chase people. It's a bit of a nightmare. Freelancer is being asked about bookings when they're already booked. We're sort of around the edges of it, in the middle of it, trying to hold that all together. Um, so that was, yeah, like, okay, it's pretty obvious what we need to do here. Um, but I think in terms of sort of how you can sort of scale that and kind of future proof yourself, you need to fundamentally be easy to transact with,
mm.
easier than the shop down the road that's trying to do something similar. And that was kind of the core ethos. How can we be easy to transact with the stuff that was kind of out there? Because, like I said, I didn't want to necessarily go and build software, but a lot of recruitment technology is all about high volume temp in that world, or it's a freelancer marketplace. But what about a tool that, you could argue that TV is high volume temp, but it's not really. It's high volumes, but it's talent led. It's like I want Darren. Um, I just want to book him and interact with him nice and quickly. I don't want to go out to tons of people. I just want to make that process nice and quick. Um, and so that's why we ended up building something, because most things that were out there were high volume temp, bum on seat, type of approach to things.
Yeah, great. So what, I suppose the name of the product's Hive 25.
hmm
What problems has it fixed?
So
I suppose let's start with you as an agency. Like,
yeah,
what problems it fixed for you?
yeah, sure. So if you think, let's say we've got the BBC and ITV, they're both using freelancers. Let's say you're a freelancer that's working at both. Okay. If we're the agency that's supplying you, we've got to manually interact with both of those customers, and we're going to trip over each other. Um, and so we were running that on Excel, then we moved to Google Docs, and we had a lot of people working in admin
Yeah.
who were pulling their hair out, drinking lots of coffee, and basically kicking the can down the road around when there's going to be a problem. And there were. So you're faced with, do we throw more people at the problem? Like, how do we do this? So what we decided to do was build a platform that basically we can populate it with the right freelancers. The customer can do that. They can see when Darren's available. If you're booked at ITV tomorrow, BBC go and look for you, you're not available, and vice versa. So you simplify that piece of the process, and then you can layer in things around it. So a lot of other platforms out there will do onboarding, payments. So what you're onboarding, or EOR, all these types of, fear-led compliance, which is obviously really important, is typically over here somewhere.
Mm,
And then the end piece is timesheets. The bit that we do that joins up the process is having a booking engine and having a schedule driven.
yeah.
So essentially, I can associate compliance. So if you're working at ITV tomorrow, if it's the first time you've worked at ITV, we've assigned compliance to ITV. That means that you will have to jump through the relevant hoops. You'll only be visible if you've completed those hoops. And then a booking occurs and it pre-populates a timesheet. So it's a simple workflow, and you can obviously capture deviations and
Yeah.
things. But if you think the world that a lot of businesses that we've been speaking to where we've come in and put the software in, they'll do the start and the end. And there's a lot of products out there that just specialize in that. We'll do the onboarding and we'll pay you with timesheets. In the middle, there's some poor bugger who is basically messing around with spreadsheets and sending lots of emails, doesn't know when Darren's available, is
Yeah.
just, chasing. And it can simplify the whole piece, by even, like everyone's got a timesheeting platform, but in our world where it's booking led, it's ad hoc. I can't go, okay, Darren's at ITV next month. He's there Monday to Friday. So I know financially what our GP is and, cash flow, etc. I don't really know because he might be working next Tuesday and maybe a Thursday off in the future. If I'm trying to wrestle a timesheeting platform around that, I mean, yeah, ultimately the final piece, the timesheeting platform, is assuming you've done nothing. And we only know from an agency perspective what our cash flow really is when the slowest person has submitted their timesheet and it's been confirmed. So it's just centralizing that whole process, basically.
Yeah, that's great. So the platform does bookings and does it all the way through to timesheets.
Mm.
So it's your timesheet platform you're using,
Yeah,
and you're billing out of there as well.
yeah,
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Would you recommend other agency owners build their own tech?
No,
No. Would
no.
w-
It
would
depends. I
would
think
you do it again?
uh, I in the age of AI, I would, not because I think you can suddenly prompt a new platform and in a weekend and all the BS that goes out over, social media.
Mm.
I think you can rapidly prototype what you need and build, a front end, and then you can gather requirements far quicker. And in theory, developers can pick up and run with stuff far quicker, and they can use AI to, do the kind of grunt work quicker. But you're still going to have to, the devil's in the detail. You're still going to need a really, smart developers to make sense of it all and to actually make it a proper functioning product. But I think ultimately it depends. It depends what you're trying to do as an agency. Do you want to, and there's no right or wrong, I wouldn't say, whether to build your own or to go and use third parties. I think it depends on ultimately what you want to be. Do you want to be a company that becomes quite integral to your customers and has a really close relationship with your customers,
Mm.
or are you playing more of a volume game where you're trying to be lots of people, you're trying to be lots of things to lots of different people? You probably go off the shelf, I would say. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective. Like recruitment, that's a really good point because I think recruitment needs to be more than just a one-off transaction or high volume transaction. It needs to be less transactional
yeah,
and sort of deeper, like the way you've
yeah,
explained. So that's great. In terms of like, there's a lot of listeners that either looking to set up temp or have set up temp.
yeah,
It'd be great to hear from your point of view. Like, what do people underestimate when running a temp agency?
yeah. So I think it would be building the knowledge in house around, the 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 start piece, the onboarding, the compliance, the compliance side of using contractors is becoming, you can't, you need expertise in house. You
Yeah.
can go, oh, we'll use third parties here and there. You need somebody who knows it inside out. They need to understand IR35. In our world, they need to go a step deeper and go, actually, there are exemption lists for people working behind camera and
Oh,
things
is
like
that?
that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's, in a basic sense, HMRC see that Darren's a cameraman using his own camera. He's not disguised employment. He's only employed by the end customer for a few fixtures of the year or whatever it
Yeah.
is. It's seen as a genuinely self-employed, or like, with film,
A
you,
true
you're in,
contractor.
yeah, you're employed for a production. You're not employed forevermore by the production company ultimately.
Yeah.
So knowing that level of detail and coming at it in that way just adds value to your customers, and it just future proofs you a bit more as a business as well to have that intelligence in house. I think the other thing is, you obviously need the financial side running freelance contract books. Over the years we've seen we've seen stuff from, just doing pure payroll at like 90-day payment terms, and, just being able to really, well, not only walk away from race to the bottom stuff, but
Mm.
being able to be running your business with the correct financial data, cash flow projections, having an invoice finance facility, even things like having credit insurance, all of that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
if your customer one day goes bang, you have some protection. That's those. Yeah, you need a compliance head and you need a finance head,
Yeah.
and you
Great.
need to be across it as well yourself. You need
Yeah.
to know it.
And I suppose that comes back to having the data available
Mm.
so you can track that live. Like
Yeah,
just having the visibility live is great because
yeah,
a lot of people wait until end of the month, end of the quarter to
mm.
actually look at financials if they ever look at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And you need
yeah,
to know if you're making money.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so you talked about credit insurance. You got credit insurance?
Yes, yeah, yeah. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you got an
you
invoice
need it.
finance facility? Yeah.
Yeah, you need it. You can have. Yeah, you can have somebody turn up to a Nigerian news station one weekend and go,
Mm.
"Hang on, where is everyone? Oh, it's all gone bang."
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yeah. So for the listeners, credit insurance protects you from non-payment. So if your customer
yeah.
goes under, you still get paid.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely a good solution to have. Um, okay, so as the business has grown, what have been some of the biggest wins and
Um,
breakthroughs?
yeah. I mean, the one of the biggest wins would probably be we won a big contract for one of the service provider companies behind most of the PSBs. So like the people that um, do a lot of the taking the content and getting it out on air, service providers for like PSBs, Channel 4, ITV, BBC. They were using a high street payrolling company. They were doing all of the bookings themselves. They were using agencies and whatnot. It was all a bit of a mess.
Mm.
Finding people, onboarding them, getting them booked and actually in the building would take weeks. Um, we we basically were pitching the software to them for a while, and essentially when a RFP came up, we ended up winning it. And in the end, what they've ended up doing is going away from having like an internal bookings team of about 10 people who were literally interfacing with the people in the business that needed the freelancers, going, "Oh yeah, we need Darren next week," or what have you, to now actually they self-serve themselves on the platform, and they have one person in the bookings team, and the other people who were in it go off to do high value jobs in the business. Um, and yeah, it's far quicker and easier for them to onboard and book and pay people. It's just seamless. If you're freelancing there, one-stop shop. Um,
Yeah, that's
and
an amazing case study.
yeah,
So it's like would you say it's like an MSP solution?
yeah, essentially,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, yeah.
Are
But
you managing any other vendors or have you got full?
a couple, but not really any of particular note, I wouldn't say. There's some pockets where they have companies that are, not agencies as such, but groups of skilled people that are doing certain jobs. So we'll use that, we'll onboard that company.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, we're doing a significant amount of bookings a month, and they've been on it 3 years, 3-4 years. We've added things into the platform. We've given them better level of reporting. We've given them better intelligence around, okay, you've got a pool of 50
Mm.
freelancers. We're doing, I don't know, 300-400 bookings a month there. Who's doing most of the bookings? Who are you over relying on? You can start to build out the picture around seasonality. You can say, okay, this booking is falling down. Why is it falling down? Is it because you're inviting the wrong people that you've got no intention of booking? Or is it because genuinely you need more people in that department? And so it goes from them internally going, I think we need more camera people, to, oh, last month actually, and next month we're due to do so, a bit more data driven ultimately to push decision making. But yeah,
That's incredible. So it's really made you scalable.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
great. And where are you finding, just explain the candidate side, like how are you attracting people into the platform?
Well, we sell it to the end customer.
Mm.
so the end customer will go, hey, you're now freelancing here. You're in order to freelance with us, you're going to have to go through this platform.
Yeah.
And initially, the kind of it's a freelancer has got a very easy life with it, because ultimately they're saying yes or no to bookings. They're seeing their billings. It's a light touch in terms of the timesheeting piece, because at the end of the month it goes, here you go, pre-populated. This is what we think you've worked. Um, okay, great. Yeah, I have, or a little deviation, rather than having to go, oh, I've got to do my timesheet now. I've got to remember what I did. It's all, so it's easier for them.
Mm.
And they can go, right, I'm off on holiday or I'm working elsewhere. Nobody's going to be chasing me. So it's a lot easier for them. I mean, along the way, I would say with a lot of these kind of it's not a marketplace tool, but the kind of management tools around issuing lots of invites to freelancers and stuff, you know, it's a tool. It's an extension of, essentially a human being going out and going, Darren, do you want to work? You have to use that with a bit of responsibility. If I'm inviting you to loads of jobs, but I've got no intention of booking you, a platform will make that very obvious. So it's just sort of, it's a bit of a two-sided thing. You need to make it as simple as possible for the freelancer and kind of make it as easy to transact. And at the same time, you need the person on the other end to use it, not as a high volume spamming tool, basically.
Yeah. So do you see this like being the future of like freelance work, like literally transacting through platform?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. But I think you need software with a service layer around it. So a lot of our customers will take the software and then have the service off the back of it, which brings them the compliance knowledge, doing right to work checks, doing the SDS piece around IR35, doing that all within the platform, but having the knowledge behind it. Because as much as you can go, great, here's a tool, away we go. I mean, a good example would probably be, we had a VFX studio that was coming out of sort of towards the end of COVID, decided to go, we'll go fully remote. We'll get the best VFX artists across mainland Europe. Great. What an absolute win for them. And not be constrained by who can actually physically get to Soho every day. How are we going to navigate that? Okay, we'll go to an EOR platform. Okay, so they go to one of the big ones. They've now got the best, the lion's share of like 100 freelancers working across all those different places. And okay, you can go, great, we've got this software platform, but somebody internally is going to have to administer it, and they're going to have to keep across it and understand it. And that's where I think you need a partner. You need human beings around the software that know it, specialize in it, and are proactive with it, so that our customers can go, actually, this, umbrella reforms, they're across this, they're ahead of it, they're preempting some of the work that needs to go in, and certainly things with like employment reg changes that are due to come in, having a partner that's ahead of it. Because otherwise, yes, you can load in software, but you need that layer of support around it. And I think in a world of abundance of technology now and software, that actually is more of a differentiator. Who is the person that's going to support you using it? Who is proactively keeping an eye on what's going on? I think that becomes more and more valuable, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose all the buzz around like AI at the moment,
Mm,
technology taking away like the administration,
mm.
it's really there to free you up and to spend more quality time with your clients
Yeah,
and candidates.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's never, well, I don't believe it's going to take away the human
No,
requirement of recruitment.
no, no, I don't think so, because it's, where's the proactive piece?
Mm.
Um, that's ultimately at the moment where the human side of it is. Who can proactively see what's coming up that you need to be mindful of? Because there's massive companies that, with everything like R35 changes over here was significant. A lot of big companies leave it till the month of.
Oh, always.
Um,
Yeah.
Crazy.
They're always reactive.
Yeah,
Like there's similar changes happening in Oz at the moment. Well, not that similar. It's basically payday super.
yeah,
And you basically have to pay super at the same, like super's pension, you got to pay at the same time you make payroll, whereas
Yeah.
traditionally you pay it quarterly.
Yeah.
People using that for their cash flow. It's coming in 1st of July, and people are really blasé about it.
That's
Like, it's going to
significant
really change
Yeah.
their cash flow position.
Mm.
But again, no one's really taking it
Yeah.
seriously
Yeah.
until the last minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we see it all the time. We
Mm.
say, let's be strategic, let's not be
Mm.
reactive, let's be
Mm.
proactive, put it in place
Mm.
even before you need it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. And in terms of like the future of recruitment, temp recruiters, any advice?
I think advice for the future of it would be build. If depends. So if I'm a small agency that's starting to get into temp, like I said, the legal side and the finance side, get across that early and put things in place that mean that you can grow. So like with our platform, we can grow. We can handle 10 bookings today. We could handle hundreds today. The finance side, so, you're bidding on different temp contracts. It can be a race to the bottom, and it requires a lot of cash flow. And that is the real barometer of of the health of a freelance agency. You can sit there and go, oh, we've got a decent GP on this shift, this booking, this week, whatever. But that's half the story. How much is it actually costing you? And what's get across the cash flow side. And I think you need partners. You need the foundations to be able to scale. That's what you need. Otherwise, you'll be okay maybe for the first few customers, but very quickly you'll trip over yourself.
Yeah, I was surprised, speaking to a lot of agencies this week, around how many people still use manual timesheets, and just the fact, it might be right for 1 or 2 casuals, but that's not scalable. And also how many people, like I was saying, you weren't aware of invoice finance as a solution.
Yeah.
In the UK, a little stat: 52 days is the average time it takes for people to get paid. That's a lot of money tied up.
Yeah. And also, actually, from experience, I would say that you can definitely, in the temp world, well, just in general recruitment, you can go, I want those big badges. I want to work with Sky. I want to work with Warner Brothers. I want to work with, Netflix. They are not the companies ultimately, as a small to medium size, that you probably want to work with, because unless you've got decent ID facility, you won't be able to handle it. It just will be, it's race to the bottom. The only way that kind of level works is if you are running at a bit of a shoestring, really, ultimately.
Yeah.
And we've seen it from the sidelines of, you buy cheap, you buy twice, ultimately. But I think that is something don't set your sights too high. Grow organically, get your technology foundation sorted, get your finance sorted, and just keep growing and obsess over what your customer actually needs. And I think you'll do well.
That's great. Tom, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. On the podcast, we like just to leave one piece of advice for our agency looking to start. I know you're just giving us some good advice, but looking to start or looking to scale, what would be the one bit of advice you'd provide?
I would say obsess over your customer, understand exactly what they need, and try and satisfy that, and try and over deliver. I think it's very easy to, in the recruitment world, be a bit of a moth to a flame. Oh, what's happening? How many calls are going out? What's going on with BD? Have you spoken to da? Oh, there's a job spec. Too late if you're trying to go after stuff that's already been out there. Build meaningful relationships built on actually knowing what your customer is about, what they need. The world is awash with lazy outreach where people don't know anything about the customer. And I just think in a world of AI now, especially, that's the USP that you have. Do you care about your customer? Do you know what you're talking about? That's what I would obsess over.
Great. Tom, appreciate your time.
No worries.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the podcast today. Hope you found it insightful. To APositive,
we specialise in partnering with recruitment and labour hire businesses across Australia, New Zealand, and soon to be the UK. Whether you're starting, scaling, or an existing business, we're here to support you. Back office, payroll, funding, and payment options. Reach out to us on LinkedIn or come to our website at apositive.com.au. Thanks again.